WDON1204.com. Community focused, globally connected. Find us online at Coleman Global.
All right, awesome. Welcome, everybody. This is Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman with the Colors of Sound podcast. Thank you for joining us for another episode. I am so happy to have today's guest with us. You aren't going to believe the phenomenal things that he's been up to and the amazing way that he's incorporated family and community into his business and everything that he's doing. So would you please give a warm welcome for Mr. Shannon Imler from Missouri. Shannon, thank you so much for being here with us, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to, talk about our community, family, business, and everything else.
That's great. That's great. So let's jump right in, man. Where are you from? And, do you still live in that same place? Are you close to that same place? Where are you now?
You bet. So I'm from a small town in central Missouri. It's called Eldon, and it's just on the north side of Lake of the Ozarks, about 4,500 people. I grew up there on my family's farm, and I still live there with my wife and two sons. And so we're really, really thankful to live in a close-knit community. And we're actually in the process of moving to Lebanon, Missouri, which is about an hour south for our new ice cream plant. So we're kind of in the first big transition as far as relocating in my life.
Cool. That's really dope. That's really dope. So now, as you're growing up in your hometown, who were some of your inspirations and kind of what was your view on the world, right? I'm from a small town as well. I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. So hello to the Midwest, right? So, but what were some of your kind of when I grow up, I'm going to be this, as you envision the world at large, as you know it, coming from a place that has such a small population?
Sure, absolutely. Whenever I grew up in a small population, I always wanted to dream big. So it started out, most of my childhood, I wanted to play in the NBA. For some reason, I thought that, that was going to be my future. Every single day I played basketball. From as soon as I could dribble until I was about 15 years old, I went to summer camps to play basketball. I played basketball all year round. Absolutely loved it. I grew up when I was a child during the Bulls era, and so I watched every single game in front of the TV. And so my eyes were glued to that, and I was really focused in on that. After I got into high school, I realized, hey, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And so through all those years, I played basketball all the time. But what I really did a lot more than that was I worked on our family farm. I would wake up every morning. I would feed hogs. I would, feed the cattle. We would combine soybeans, corn. Basically, whatever it took, I was there. I was working with my brother, my dad, and my grandpa, and night and day, summers in the hayfield. And so, if basketball didn't work out, my dream of basketball, that's kind of like my plan to fall back on is farming. And so it's just kind of interesting, things didn't happen exactly like I thought they might, but that was my childhood.
Right. That's really, really cool. I mean, in everything that you're saying, I hear a lot of character building. I hear a lot of perseverance. There's so much that I think comes from being from a smaller place. I've been living in the Bronx, New York for 23 years. But, coming from a smaller place, the values that you wind up with, I think carry through and shine through in everything that you do. And so I think that's really cool. Now, but I'm curious, what was, coming from that kind of a background where you're very hands-on and it's farming and it's, real labor intensive. What was your first company that you started? Was it connected to that at all? Or were you involved in that same type of area? Or did you immediately just take the lessons that you learned as a kid and apply them in a different area?
I took the lessons as a kid that I learned, the values of hard work. Persistence is key. So it didn't matter what we were doing on the farm, something broke, an animal got out, you name it, something went wrong, and you can't just throw in the towel and give up. That was never an option. And so that was one of the main key values that I still, carry with me today is just persistence. And it's translated over into my business life now. It
Hmm.
translated, into the time when I didn't get accepted to college. And so
Mm.
that is that's pretty key. And I never really I never really had like a transition into like farming or agriculture after I graduated from high school. I realized that hey, like it's extremely hard to make a living at this. I looked at my parents and my grandparents that were just, I mean, barely scraping by.
Right,
Some
right.
years you made no money, lose money. Every once in a while, they might make a profit on something. And I seen the difficulties and knew that I had to do something a little bit different. So, but I did take everything I learned about hard work, persistence,
Hmm.
family, and I used that in the construction field as soon as I graduated,
Hmm.
and it proved
Hmm.
to be invaluable to me, and it really really helped me, do much better than I ever would have done if I wouldn't have grown up on a farm. I'm confident of that.
That's powerful. That's really, really powerful. So talk to me a
Mhm.
little bit. You mentioned your family. Talk to me a little bit about your family and how involved are they in the work on a day-to-day basis, and like how are they your springboard? Like, how engaged are they in everything that's happening? I'm certain they're supportive, but like how engaged are they?
Yeah, you bet. So my immediate family now, with my wife Katie, my two sons, Vincent and Harrison. Harrison's 4 years old, and Vincent just turned 2 months old. So they are fully ingrained, every single day and every single thing that I do. Now my father, my siblings, they they're not. They're still on the exact same farm. They still
Nice.
have cattle, they still have hogs, they do row crops. And that key word kind of goes back to that. They're still persistent. Whether it's making money or not, they're not giving up. That's what
That's right.
um, that's what they were born to do, and those are the gifts that they were given, and they just keep on keeping on. And so there's a lot of respect I have for them, and that's really impactful. Now, don't get me wrong, each one of them are at any event that I have for our ice cream
Oh yeah.
business. They're there, they're
Oh yeah.
supportive, they're always there, but just just stuck on a different path of life. But my two sons and my wife Katie, they're just really my rock, and I can lean on them for anything I need in this business any day.
That's powerful, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, my father used to say, uh, you know, hard work, perseverance, and
Hmm.
integrity are all day choices. And
Yeah.
so I love what you're saying in that, the family is still doing what's in their blood to do, right? Like there's not
Hmm.
anything wrong with that. Like I go back to something you said a moment ago. I was not the sports person. Like if entertainment didn't exist, I'm not too sure like where I'd be flipping fries right now.
Yeah.
But like, that was kind of like my the thing that saved me, like being able to be involved in entertainment and that kind of thing. And meanwhile, the rest of my family are all like educators and military folks. And so I'm like the odd guy out. So I totally understand, what you're saying in terms of like walking your path. And that's definitely something that in my work in the community, especially like in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, and I
Yeah.
mean, this is kind of a global thing for youth in general, is that you always have to encourage young people to find their path and walk their path, even if it's not the same
Hmm.
thing that other folks in the family or folks that are doing. So I think it's really powerful.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Totally on board with what you're saying there. Absolutely.
So now let's get to the heart of the matter, right? Now, I think when anybody hears the title ice cream, it immediately brings a smile to the face. And so, a funny, quick little story is that, I had taken this closet in the Bronx and turned it into my little studio long before COVID and before it became like the
Mhm.
chic thing during COVID when you just needed space away from everybody else. And one of the big reasons was because where I live is like highly populated. And so the ice cream truck is, like the minute the sun parts the clouds, like you can hear that guy, he's coming from a distance and like you just feel the energy of it. And it reminds me of my youth and all that sort of stuff. So I built a
Mhm.
space where that wouldn't be so prevalent all the time in my ears. However, when I hear homemade ice cream, I
Mhm.
absolutely still smile about it. So talk to me about how did the idea come up for Ice Cream Factory and how did you go from vision to actual the first day of operation? Like how did you operationalize the vision of what you're doing right now?
Well, after I graduated high school, and entered the construction field, I knew deep down that, I was made to be an entrepreneur. I felt it. I started my own business. I learned, so many different things through failure in the like general
Mhm.
contracting industry. And it really, really taught me so much. And so that was really kind of a foundation, for Ice Cream Factory. I learned, how to interact with people. I learned how to, fix problems. I learned, all the rules and everything like that. And, throughout the years, I was very fortunate and I was very blessed to be able to do great work for great people. But one of our biggest and most rewarding projects that we were fortunate enough to be a part of, it was a craft cheese factory in our hometown of Eldon, Missouri. And so we were, we've always been passionate about our hometown, about our community, and always,
Mhm.
volunteer and do whatever we can to make the community a better place. And we had fixed up some older buildings, and there was when I say a craft cheese factory, it's a 1931 um, old factory that was in the
Wow.
middle of our downtown. It just right in the heart, and it was the biggest eyesore you can imagine. The roof had blown off. The roof had collapsed in places, and we just felt a calling to get involved. And also the price on it. It was for sale for 2 years, and we knew we could. We knew we could fix it. I had extensive history
Mhm.
in construction. Um, but
Mm.
you know what? So we took a chance. We took a chance. It was, I would say, around 5 years ago now. And we just felt a calling to do it for our community. We didn't know exactly what we would do with the building. We just considered it maybe a commercial investment
Mhm.
whenever we purchased it. And so that was okay with us. We're okay with a commercial investment at the time. But as we, neared completion of this old factory, we kind of put some pieces together, and inside of it there were drains in the floors. There were areas where they smoked cheese, different bays. And we heard from locals just kept pouring into the community, and they said, hey, you know what, I used to work here, and this is where we made the cheese, this is where we brought the
Oh wow.
milk in. This is how this dairy
Hmm.
manufacturing business worked. And so we kind of became inspired by that, and we knew the facility was just meant to be a dairy facility. And what better
Yeah.
way to kind of honor that and bring the community together and do something special by not only restoring this 1931 old dump back to its former glory, but by making an ice cream shop for the community, they could filter through it. Um, our very first
That's right.
time we opened, we did a golden ticket thing, just like on the Willy Wonka
Oh,
movie,
it's
and we
like
just
Willy Wonka.
yeah, we had the best time. I think every single person in our small town, they were so ecstatic. They all came. It was such a huge opening, and right after we opened, it's like, you know what? Like this is it. Like we're making a difference. We're doing
That's
something
right.
special for our community, for the
Yes.
people. They're happy. Our mission in our company is spreading happiness to the world through high quality ice cream. And that moment after we
Mm,
opened and I seen the impact that we made, it's like, man, that's it. That's my calling in life. And that's how we can make a difference, not only, in my small local community here in rural Missouri, but, farther out. And so that's kind of the spark just right after we opened. It kind of lit a fire in me. So,
I love it. Oh my God, I love it. I love that story. So how did you come up with the name Ice Cream Factory? Right? Like I love like what you're saying that you honored the building
yeah,
by, keeping it kind of in the same genre, right? And that
yeah,
you were able to bring your construction skills into it to create a space that the community could feel comfortable and welcomed inside of. But how, a
yeah,
name is everything, right? Ice Cream
yeah,
Factory, when I was reading your bio, I honestly was
yeah.
like, oh my, oh my God. Like it felt like it existed for like 20, 30, 40 years. The name is so perfect.
Yes. And so that's a great question. And that was one of our major like hangups. Like we knew that we wanted to make an ice cream shop. We knew it. And my wife, Katie, and I, we made a list and we narrowed them down. And, we went back and forth, this one's good, this one's bad. And we were trying to get super creative. And everybody in our town called it the cheese factory. So it'd been the cheese factory for like, close to 90 years. And everybody's like,
Right,
oh,
right, right.
Shannon and Katie are fixing up the cheese factory. And so I'm like, Katie, let's just keep it simple. Um,
Yeah,
let's, keep the factory. Everybody knows it as a factory, but it's not cheese. We're not making
yeah,
cheese here. Let's just put ice cream in that place. And we just kind of thought about it, and that was it. And it was simple, but it defined what we were doing. We were making ice cream there. So that's kind of how we came about there.
but it's so brilliant. I mean, I can't. I wish I were closer. I'll look on the app and I mean in the website and figure out if you've got something over here on the East Coast. But I mean, it is
Yeah.
such a perfect, perfect name because what it gives me when ice cream factory, like it gives me exactly the image of when I went to your
Mhm.
website. Okay, so everybody who is listening to this, you really have to make it over to icecreamfactoryco.com so you can see this for yourself. But for everyone who is watching, here's a little video of Ice Cream Factory of like how to navigate their website, something very cool and quick because the amount of flavors, this is what was killing me. I sat on my couch before this interview reading all these flavors and like daydreaming of like how yummy they taste. Um, so how is the ice cream made? I see that you say you have you're sourcing local ingredients and that sort of thing. So I don't want to get into the proprietary stuff, but like
Yeah.
how are you bringing it together?
Sure, yeah, and that's a question that a lot of times I just kind of laugh at because I think back to like day one, like what I was doing, and then I think about today and the changes in our processes. They've been so significant. Day one,
Hmm.
we started out with what was declared as a boat anchor, and so when I say a boat anchor, there was like a used kitchen equipment place and they were keeping this machine for
Uh-huh.
parts in case somebody's like old junker broke down. And they're like, you don't need to use that to make ice cream. It's really a boat anchor, but it does work and you can try it. And it's $2,000. And I said, well, I can afford it. I'm going to try it. Let's make it work. And so literally from day one, we took that $2,000 machine, stuck it in our back room and a little closet. And we went to the grocery store across the street and just bought what we needed to make ice cream. And I think back now, a lot of our staff are still with us from day one. And we talk about it like, what were we
That's great.
thinking? We thought that ice cream was amazing. And it was good, but nowhere near as good as what we make now. So it wasn't like on day one, we had everything that we needed. It's taken years and it's taken, learning. And most importantly, all the failures and all the mistakes to get to where we are now. Fast forward to today,
Mhm.
we make our ice cream on a manufacturing line. There is a very large a machine called a continuous freezer, which just pumps out a stream of ice cream all day long, super, super fast. and we feed cookies, we feed caramels, and it forces its way into the ice cream stream. And then we have filling equipment. So some people might have just seen like factories of filling equipment. We have a filler that fills pints,
Yeah.
super duper fast. And we just have a
Yeah. Yeah.
team that boxes everything up and puts it in a freezer. So it's just totally different from 2019 to when we're talking right now. We are like full blown ice cream factory, like manufacturing style production line to where we also make our own baked goods and inclusions that go in the ice cream, but that's more automated.
Hmm.
And our consistency today and our quality with our clean label product that we switched to, and the baked goods, it's
Nice.
it's so so much better than almost anything you'll buy in the store. So we're really proud of it. We're really proud of our processes. There are a few proprietary things, certain way we bake things, certain way we feed our inclusions into it that allow us to have like 2 or 3 chunks of brownies or cake pieces in every bite. As to where like the
Mm,
bigger guys, but we're not afraid to think outside the box and modify
that's
equipment
right.
to where and to where it packs a lot more cookies and stuff in our ice cream. And so that's what makes it special. That's what we're
And we
proud
love you for
of.
that. We love you for that.
Yeah, and that's what I tell our team. Like, I promise you guys, we're never going to get a complaint for too many cake pieces or cookies. Like, they're going to be thrilled. Um, but we're going to get a complaint for not enough. So let's pack the peanut butter in there, pack the cookies in there. Let's make it work. We
Right.
want good stuff. So,
That's
but
right.
yeah,
That's right.
that's day one to right now. It's just and throughout the years, man, it's just gotten a little better every time we upgrade. It gets a little bit better and a little bit easier on our staff.
Man, listen, black walnut, blackberry
Hmm.
cobbler, brownie blast. I am a sucker for butter pecan.
Yeah,
Cake batter, which looks like the smoothest thing I've ever seen. Like I don't even see
yeah.
like that looks so delicious and crazy. Chocolate chip cookie dough. Like I mean and look as you go down the page, cobalt cookie, coconut almond paradise. So where do these flavors come from? Like, are you just sitting in the kitchen like, hey, honey, try this? Like, how are you coming up with the different flavors?
Well, that yeah, that started back in 2019, and so that's one of the best parts is like we had some major flops. Like we threw out some weird stuff at first, and like I said, we were just buying stuff and putting it in ice cream, and we didn't know any different. So once again, the
Right.
good stuff came from our failures. We had dill
Hmm.
pickle ice cream
Hmm.
one time. We call them factory flops, is what we label them as, and
Okay.
that didn't work. We tried bacon maple ice cream. That didn't work. We tried potato chip. It didn't work. And so we learned the hard way. That's the way that really sticks with people is learning the hard way. And so some of them did work though. Like our blackberry cobbler, our gooey butter cake. Um, and we had so many flavors at first, and we just sorted them out. And we would give ice cream to people and just tell them to give us feedback, and we would get honest feedback. We would get people to say, "Hey, this nobody's gonna eat this, so just trash that idea. Trash, don't do that anymore." And then we get some thumbs up too. And we had um, we had people come in our kitchen while we were making it, and help us create stuff too. And so that was the cool part about the early days, is we really figured out like we didn't have, like a highly paid advisor that was in the ice cream business from somewhere else that came in and gave us a book of secrets. We didn't have that. We just had, our life
Mhm.
experiences, and we had, mistakes, and we just
Yeah.
took that and we turned them into what works. And so that's kind of how we got to that flavor list you're reading off.
That's really amazing. I mean, again, I want to point out for folks that you have developed a really great way of changing the perception of the word failure. You have brought it out in such a positive light, right? You said first failure as a lesson, and so in my mind, I'm
Yeah.
thinking, wow, failure as a lesson. and not a rebuke. Like, what if that could
Yeah.
be the mantra that our young people catch on to, that, you know, failure is not, it's almost not even that word anymore. It's like you're changing the definition of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the way you learn and how you retain things, You're going to learn
Yeah.
a whole lot faster whenever you fail. And somebody else telling you what not to do, what to do, when to do it, um, that doesn't stick with you quite the same as just complete failure. So it's really, really
Oh,
powerful. And it's
100%.
powerful for us. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Yeah.
no,
Yeah. That's super
no, that's all
powerful.
right. It's been powerful for us, and I get asked all the time, like, well, how'd you do it, or how'd you know to do this? And like, I didn't know. I screwed up. Here's all my list of mistakes, and that's why we don't do it that way, and we do it a different way. And there's something to be said about that. And I think maybe other people or entrepreneurs or people in life or maybe sometimes too afraid to make a mistake or to fail, or they
Yeah.
think what if. And and I'm glad that we never did. In my life and in our business, it's helped us succeed, in our business, and helped
Yeah.
us not to have any
Yeah.
regrets, really. So that's super super powerful for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, when you talk about resilience, when you talk about
Mhm.
faith, and
Yeah.
believing in yourself, when you talk about perseverance, you know, I think these are core values. And so I'm
Mhm.
certain that that's, you know, going to be what's in the taste of the product. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people
Yeah.
have this much love and are this close to the actual product, you absolutely can taste the difference of that. And so for that, I'm
Mhm.
jealous of everybody in your town. Um, I want to say real quick, you know, I saw this article online, and it's the top 5 reasons to why Ice Cream Factory is so amazing, right? And so I don't know if you've seen this, but it's, you know, the first one is Ice Cream Factory is local, it's family run and founded. You have locally sourced ingredients. It's always fresh. You don't have to worry about tons of preservatives. See, that's the other thing. Like, the after effects of like some of the thing products that are on the market right now is really, you know,
Yeah.
eating people alive, and you're popping all these pills. Number 4, you give back to the community, right? So I want to chat about that. And then premium 14% butterfat is in the ice cream, dude. Like, you could just taste it in the air, like,
Yeah.
right? So before we get to the butterfat, like, talk to me about, what does Ice Cream Factory do, as well as you and the family? Like, what do you do to give back to the community, aside from the amazing thing of, you know, taking this old 1930s building and bringing it back to life as a part of everybody's, you know, childhood memory, love, and conversation? What are some of the other
Mm.
things that you guys are doing?
So the first thing that's heavy on my heart that I think about all the time, and it's from my upbringing, are like the dairy farmers and the agriculture community. And so anytime that we see a need in ag community, dairy farmers, they really are the backbone of my business, and they are the ones that make this possible. And like I said earlier, sometimes it's for a profit, sometimes it's for a loss, but they
Yeah,
persevere, they keep on doing it. And anytime that
yeah.
we can sponsor, a dairy farmer's kids team, sports team, or if we can go to a
Mm,
dairy conference and support them in some way, or if
yeah.
there's, an FFA, Future Farmers of America event, and we can be the ice cream sponsor, or a brown Swiss cow association, like we will always we'll bring the ice cream, we'll put the smiles on the faces, and if there's a sponsorship opportunity, we'll do that too. We'll contribute. That's the most important thing to me, are those hard working men, women, and children. Because when you're on the farm, it takes
Hmm.
everybody pitching in. Um, that
Yeah.
make our industry possible. I mean, just plain and simple. That's the lifeline of our business, and we really, really value them. Really a lot. So that's super important. And another thing too, we always a certain percentage of our proceeds from our certain flavors within our community here. We give that back to the schools. So we donate 10% to the schools so that helps, fund education for the youth here. So that's really, really important to us. And, and the other way, like, we create jobs. We fixed up some old buildings, and that's great. But just pouring back and investing in those people that
Yeah.
took a chance on Ice Cream Factory and like Shannon and Katie's crazy idea over 4 years ago. Just as we grow as a company, it's really special for us to be able to invest back into them in different ways. And it doesn't always have to be money. It's about caring about them as a person
Yes.
and
Yes.
and,
Listen,
and
that's an
letting them know
amazing
that.
thing right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing
Like I
because a lot
said,
of people are like, "Oh, I don't have anything. I can't give back. I can't give anything." But your time, your love, your
yeah,
service, those are all
yeah.
important and valuable things.
Man, that's exactly right. Just showing up, for their kids have something going on, or telling them good job on Friday at the end of the day, or noticing something specific and saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, man, you really knocked that out of the park." That means more than a raise, a bonus, a benefit, or whatever. Of course, we do that,
Yeah.
but the impactful things that we can do for our people that have really came together as an organization, that's where it's at. That's another important piece where we can give back to those that, and they really deserve it. So they really do.
That's really powerful, man. Thank you for that. I can only imagine seeing the seeing Ice Cream Factory, like walking in and seeing one
Yeah,
wall that has, what did you call them? Flavor flops, right? Like the the
yeah,
never to be forgotten, like beginning phases of things that didn't work out against the wall, where everything is going really well and has progressed, and like you're not only feeding
hmm,
someone's stomach or someone's craving or whatever, you're also in the business of kind of feeding hearts and minds. I think
yeah,
donating into education, donating into the community, sending so much love back to people, that's what affects like people's mental health. That's the type of thing that affects a community's mental health. When you have multiple
hmm,
people that are proud of where they come from, proud of the values that they grew up with, and are able to then translate that into a business and still be that same person for other people, I think that's really dope. I think that's really, really dope. So it comes along the line of my next question about legacy.
hmm.
Where do you feel like you are in your legacy? Do you even think about it that way? And what do you hope 20, 30 years from now, as your kids are out of college and like kind of like sourcing the world, what kind of legacy are you seeking to leave for them?
So I'm really inspired by the story of Milton Hershey and how Milton Hershey created Hershey, Pennsylvania. And, my mind, I try to wrap my mind around, what he did. He created, not only one of the leading chocolate companies in the world that still exists today. But he took care of his people better than anybody
Hmm.
else in the industry around, the turn of the century, around 1900. He was doing incredible things in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
It's still there today. The staff are still, they're treated incredibly. Um, but that's really, something that inspires me. That, the story, the person, um, no matter what during the Great Depression, he made sure that everybody had a job and not just a part-time job, a full-time job to where they could provide for the family, and the thing that he did later on in life is he gave away the ownership to the Milton Hershey, school for boys. And so he never had any children. And it wasn't about money for him. It was about doing a good thing for people that could really benefit from it. And so as I go through life and, I evaluate, my legacy, I really see myself, pursuing something similar because I'm so moved by what he was able to do. And it's not, I don't do it
Yeah.
for the glory of myself. But I think,
Right.
there's a greater good. Our company can do something really special for some really great people. And, it may not be my family for generation, and that doesn't even matter. That's not what we're here for. We're here to do good things for the people who work here, the people in our community, the people of the world. My legacy
That's right.
wants to be spreading happiness to the world through our ice cream, and I think that could. There's so many different ways, and the opportunities are endless. And that's really, my legacy. That's where I want to kind of leave that, spreading happiness.
I love it. I love it. All right. So now, we talked about a lot of things, right? We talked about
Yeah,
failure
yeah.
as a lesson. We talked about perseverance. We talk about faith
Mhm.
and believing in yourself. Hometown family values, I think, is like one of the major takeaways from
Yeah.
this, and the ability to create something that will live beyond you, no matter
Mhm.
the outcome. And I think that's super powerful. And I want to give honor to the moment and ask you, I know every now and again we get into conversations and we leave conversations or interviews
Mhm.
or just people that we meet on the street and we're like, oh, you know what? I should have said XYZ. So I want to
Mhm.
give you an opportunity. Like, is there something that, maybe I didn't even ask about, but that is really important that you want to make sure that people know or feel or remember about um, about Ice Cream Factory, about some of the things that you've shared along the way. I think you've done a great job already, but there might be something I don't know about. So, like, what's something else that you might want to share?
Yeah. I've done my absolute best to plug in everything I possibly could, you know, throughout this. That's really impactful. But like the one thing that you know that I want to kind of plug into, like right now, we're in 18 states, about 3,000 stores. Our ice cream's available online. You can order it throughout the continental 48 states at our website. And
Nice.
that does so much good, and we're so fortunate to be in this position. But
Yeah.
our company and what we stand for, we're gonna do great things outside the United States. We're looking at other countries to do business with. We're looking at how we can make. We're
Mhm.
into the phase of growth to where we source certain things from different countries for our ice cream because we have to, and making sure that
Yeah.
it's ethically sourced. And so that's a big
That,
thing for us. We have opportunities to buy packaging in certain places that we don't feel comfortable buying packaging in. And so as we grow and as our company develops, one of the most important things in my mind right now is doing business the right way. Spreading
mm,
happiness, not just
yes.
in that scoop of ice cream and eating it and smiling, but there's so many things and so many ways that you can spread happiness, and
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we're thinking about every single thing as a company, where that plastic lid came from. What
Right.
ingredients came in that shipping container that went into our blackberry cobbler ice cream, and where did they get the berry flavor? These are things that we're looking into on
Right.
a daily basis that they make an impact, and they make an impact on happiness in so many different ways. You could have,
That's right.
somebody from a country that's incredibly sad or unhappy providing certain ingredients for this ice cream. And so we don't want that. And so that's
That's
something
right.
that's so important to us. And that's something that we are fortunate enough now to where we are. We can think about that, and we can make decisions on that, whether to get things from certain places. And that really, really fully encompasses our mission. And so that's something that we're proud of, that we want to add and make
Yeah.
listeners aware of, that we're conscious of that, and the other companies or manufacturers that aren't, they should be, and that it's important. So that's
That's
my
right.
that's my
That's right.
um, that's my last little bit there that I think would be important to any listeners that are listening.
I think that's powerful. It's like, that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
So,
That's right. So, folks, please head over to the website. I want to give it to you one more time, icecreamfactoryco.com. As you heard, it's available in all continental 48 states. For mail, right? And then it's available to actually go and get in another 13. So check out the website, find out more about Shannon Imler and his family and his legacy that they are building there in Missouri. And please, Shannon, at any point in time, if you want to come back and give us an update as you add more things or expand locations, you have an open door to come back. I appreciate, your passion, and I appreciate like what you're doing. I don't have to know you personally in order to be proud of you. And I'm really proud of what you represent and what your family represents to the community.
Well, that's super meaningful. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your listeners and viewers. Um, you're right. I am passionate about it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is my mission, and just being blessed to be on here today, is incredible.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and we will definitely touch base soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Share your story on the Colors of Sound podcast. Our mission is to create a safe space for community members from around the world to share their unique stories. Do you have an interesting story to share? Or perhaps a journey of triumph from a challenge that you faced? Do you want the world to know about your talent? Visit our website and complete our guest intake form at WDON1204.com. The Colors of Sound podcast. Discover how much we have in common.